Okay, hi everybody. I think you'll pardon me, but you'll let me go for being philosophical. I'm not going to mention a whole lot about basketball in particular. But there's a sports psychologist that gave this idea through his books that I'd like to share. One main concept, or maybe two. And it's more about the big picture. It's not a small picture. It's not a game by game. It's the big picture about our journey. And it's called No One Gets There Alone. And I've heard words already about all the people involved in making a program like this and finishing a season. So just think about that concept, whether you're a player or an adult. No one gets there alone. What am I talking about? I'm talking about we all need somebody. And those somebodies, or some events, they come up in what Rob Bell calls hinge moments. We all have hinge moments in our lives. It's an event or a person who helps mold you who you become and who you are becoming. You can have several hinge moments. I'm kind of hoping right now that some of you, even as adults, are thinking, oh yeah, so-and-so was a hinge person, a hinge moment in my life, or this event. So let me give you an example. I don't know what basketball team you go with, but the last regular season of the game, North Carolina and Duke, where Carolina beat Duke, and Coach K was going to be celebrating. He still was. You may or may not have stayed and watched the end of the celebration where he came out. He didn't use the word hinge, but he said the two most important people, when asked the question, how can any one guy coach a D1 school for 42 years? And he said, without saying hinge moment, my high school coach told me about basketball, and my priest taught me about life. So I thought that was pretty cool because I knew I was going to talk about hinge moment. But then you start thinking about other people and other hinge moments. Besides Coach K, think of Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods, the hinge person or their dad, right? A guy named Bill Walton, which only us old folks would remember from UCLA basketball. Who was his hinge? There's John Wooden. And then you think about it, who's John Wooden's hinge? If you read Wooden, his poetry, his story, his hinge was his wife. 53 years. So, everybody has a hinge. Even in history, in World War II, the hinge for England, a guy named Winston Churchill. Now, transitioning just a little bit, it's not always that good things are hinges. They can be negative experiences. They could be struggle. They could be losses. They could be mistakes and regrets. Those can be hinge moments. I looked up two Fruitport Hall of Fame athletes from the 1980s, and I want to illustrate the negative part that turns into a positive. A guy named Scott Six, somewhere in the mid-80s. 81? Thank you. So when he was 2 years old, he had to have a leg amputated. A negative hinge moment. It was his dad who convinced him to start coming to wrestling matches when he was just entering high school. His first year was miserable after he started wrestling. His second year was amazing. He had like 9 pins, he was 19-6. And that hinge moment was a negative thing. Another guy from the 80s, help me out. NFL football player Mike Teeter, 87 maybe, 85, somewhere in there. Okay, thanks, you guys. If he were here today, he would say that his hinge took place outside the library, the old library in the hallway, when the teacher grabbed him by the scuff of the neck and said, Mike, you're never going to make it until you get serious about academics. That was his hinge moment. And for those of you that don't know him, Mike was able to play for the University of Michigan, play in the Rose Bowl, go in the NFL. But again, there's moments. They're negative, they're positive, they're people, they are circumstances. I want to give you another example. And I know I'm running short. Our fiercest opponents can provide hinge moments. You ever think of that? The people you go against that make you better. I don't care what sport it is. We need those people. Magic had Bird. Jordan had, you name them. People who made each other better, even though they're competitors. Coke has Pepsi. I mean, you name it. They up the ante. And we all need to realize that sometimes we need those people. No one gets there alone. That's the idea. No one gets there alone. I'm going to share one hinge moment, which I think I had many and I'm grateful for. So I'm thinking back, I hope I haven't straightened out, things change as history goes by. My dad was a hinge moment. I'm 11 years old and I love baseball. Played baseball since I could, at the Sandlot. Typical, that movie Sandlot was me. But here's my coach, so I'm 11 years old and he had to choose the all-star team. And my friends got chosen, but I didn't. So it's like, I get the guts up to say, Dad, why didn't I make the all-star team? And as best as I can remember, it might be a little bit added. I remember him looking at me and said, Ken, the other guys are better than you. The other guys are better. And it was just so, I guess you're right. But the end of that story is that within a year, my dad picked up tennis, and then he got me interested in it. And 2 years later, I played high school tennis. It became my passion. It became my college sport. And so, I could look at a hinge being that I wasn't very good in baseball. Now, two other examples, and one of them is my ALS journey. People in my life that have my back from day one are here today. They're me. They are managed people. I want to share too that in a spiritual sense, I believe God gives me promises that become my hinges. I will never leave you. I am with you. My grace is sufficient. So the message is that no one is self-sufficient. Everyone needs somebody. No one can make it alone. Seniors, you've planted trees that you may never see. Never forget the importance of unconditional gratitude. Never forget that no one can get there alone. When I say you've left the uniform better than when you got it, I truly believe that. If I'm not mistaken, you've won 7 more games this year 7 times more games this year than last. You left the uniform better because of the things I've heard about your character. Underclassmen, future's still out here. It's right in front. I have this personal feeling that you have the ability to do something historical at Fruitport next year. Never forget to look at the next 200 feet first and not worry about tomorrow, but work together like crazy. Never forget that you need your teammates. You need to know, like I do, that no one can do this alone. So I'm done by just summarizing. Who are you a hinge for? I can guarantee you that gentlemen in this room that worked on Saturday basketball have been a hinge for some little elementary kid at some time this year or in the past. And you might have been that kid once. You can provide a hinge for somebody's life, just like I can. Look for opportunities to do just that. Hinge moments for someone who needs you. And lastly, no one is self-sufficient. We all need each other, and no one can do this alone. Thank you, everybody.